Hi everyone, Joel from ID for Me. Welcome to episode 2, turning your open home attendees and your auction attendees to potential listers. We've got the wonderful Adam Joske, real estate consultant and advocate for ID for Me. Adam, welcome.
Thanks for having me back.
So Adam, episode 2, we're talking about people coming into open homes. We're talking about people attending auctions. I've heard high-performing agents see these people as a great opportunity.
Yep.
Tell us about it. What do the folks at home need to know about best practice in this area?
Yeah, absolutely, Joel. So episode 1, we talked about running a patch. All good agents know that they need to milk every opportunity that comes through to their open for inspections and opens. Obviously, people are coming to an open for inspection. They've seen a property advertised. They're coming there for a reason. Why are they coming? Are they coming because they're a neighbour? Are they coming because they're looking at moving? Or are they coming to suss out the agent? And there's usually a reason why they're there. And really, like I say, the high-performing agents, they might have 10 people through an open for inspection. They want to make the most of every single name. And that's where ID for Me come in. And I've spoken to a lot of agents recently, and I've said, how are you utilising ID for Me at your open for inspections? And what they're actually doing is, when the buyer comes to the door and the agent collects the phone number and the name of that person, while the buyer's inspecting the property, the agent's putting that number straight into ID for Me, which is fantastic. So they've actually got the database open, but they've also got ID for Me open. So it's now become part of their DNA. It's now become part of their open for inspection ritual to have both platforms open. So what they're doing is that they're putting that phone number straight into ID for Me, and they're working out that they might be selling a property in Smith Street, and they're working out that Joel's come through and he also lives in Smith Street. So they know straight away that this is a neighbour. What a fantastic insight that you've got when you're speaking to that person next, that you're speaking to them as a neighbour. So it's why you're there. Are you coming because you're thinking about also selling your property? Are you just walking past and you're not actually making a move? But it's giving you that huge amount of insight straight away. So when you speak to that prospect, you know you got some direction on where to go.
And I would imagine that having any kind of background info at all would be a fantastic tool just to enable a conversation. But what are you looking for? Are you trying to understand whether or not someone is in the process of selling or they've just sold? You know, as I've said to many, I'm not from real estate, but what am I trying to understand from these people?
Yeah, I think what you're trying to do is you're trying to be as efficient as possible with your time.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if there's 10 people that have come through and open for inspection, you're going to follow all of them up. Mm-hmm. Good agency practice says you call them all on Monday, you interview them, and you find out why they were there. To give you a live example, I imagine that someone came through Smith Street and you established that they also lived in Smith Street. They're probably a neighbour. They're probably there for a reason. Conversely, you put that name into ID for Me, and it's someone who is renting 10 suburbs away. Now, you've only got so many hours in the day, and the best agents out there use their day very effectively and very efficiently. So I know for me as an agent, I'm going to focus first and spend my time first by prioritising the neighbour rather than that buyer that's come through who may live 5 suburbs away. This business is all about sales and it's all about getting listings. We need to find the people with homes first, and we need to prioritise where we spend our time.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you, having a little bit more info about the person you're talking to, I mean, I would naturally think that some people might go, "Ooh, I feel a bit strange knowing something about them," but what are some techniques to be able to use that info when you're talking to someone, I guess, without it being obvious that you've done a little bit of work?
Yeah. Well, to me, it's all about asking leading questions. So, for instance, if you came through my home, again, we're selling Smith Street, you came through my home, and while you're looking around, I established that you're in Smith Street. You might come to the back towards me, or I might approach you to have a conversation. I might say something like, "So, Joel, are you living in the street already?" Right? Now, it's a leading question, but it's information that I've already accessed, and I'm giving you an opportunity to say, "Oh, funny you mentioned that because I am," and then we're going into a dialogue.
Yeah.
If you were, again, in the previous example, living 5 suburbs away, maybe a different state, I might say, "Look, what brings you here today? You're looking at buying or selling," but it may not be leading to where the answers that I'm trying to establish.
Yeah. And so I'm hearing there, there's an approach in the open home at the auction, looking up the person in ID for me, get a little bit more info. I'm guessing in a busy open home or auction, you can't get to everyone. So would you then on a Monday or your follow-up, are you doing the same thing? Are you?
Absolutely. It's a great question. I mean, when you think about it, Joel, you might have 5 open for inspections. You might have 10 attendees at each one. You've got 50 people. We are now in a currency of speed, and all business is about speed, and people expect fast response and fast service. And I think that, again, I'm looking at the best agents and what they do with those 50 people. Imagine being able to identify in order of 1 to 50 the people who are living close to that targeted property you're selling. And actually, rather than calling first to last, you're actually calling in terms of where you feel there may be what we call low-hanging fruit, as opposed to the fruit at the top of the tree that you can get to later, because we want to target that low-hanging fruit, that ripe fruit, where those leads might be best.
So you were mentioning speed there. I would imagine if you've got an open home, all the other agents in that area are also wanting to talk to those people. So is that where that speed of contact comes into it? Is that
100%? 100%. If I establish that you are living in Smith Street and I'm selling a property in Smith Street, I would make it my mission to either call you on a Saturday afternoon after the open for inspection, because I know you're there for a reason. Or I would be calling you, be one of my first calls on a Monday when I'm doing my follow-up. Now, I would hope that an agent that doesn't have that unfair intel, and I call it unfair because it is an advantage for you, I would think and hope that those agents may not be calling that prospect until maybe a Monday evening or a Tuesday, in which I've already been in there. Maybe I've set an appointment to go and appraise the home. But people want to do business with people who are doing business. And if someone can see that I'm all over it, I'm fast, I'm responsive, you're going to go, you're miles ahead of the other agent.
So, Adam, we were talking a lot about open homes, but is this just as applicable at an auction?
It's interesting, actually, in our industry. If you're in an auction-orientated market, I find all agents are very strict on getting names and phone numbers at open for inspections. Yet, and it actually blows my mind, so many agents, they don't ask for people's personal details at auctions.
What is that?
It's almost like it's just crept into our industry, and it's just the norm. And at auctions, everyone's just walking around. Most good agents that I work with, they are as stringent at getting names and phone numbers at auctions. So people come to the door, and if you're an agent selling today, I strongly advise you to do this as well. People come to the door just like an open for inspection, take their name, take their phone number. I mean, what a great place. Most of your leads are going to come from auctions. People come to auctions for a reason. So to be able to have maybe 50 people at an auction where you're going to get the volume, I mean, what an incredible amount of data that you've got, that on a Monday or even a Tuesday, if you're going to push it out, what a great list of names to call from people who have attended your auction.
It sounds a hell of a lot easier than prospecting.
Well, it's warm data, isn't it?
You're
not calling someone cold where you're ringing someone saying, have you any thoughts about selling? You actually call, you've got something to talk about. Hi, Joel. I met you at the auction, or you came to the auction on the weekend. Can I ask why were you there? You're looking at buying or selling. What a great segue you've got into discussing real estate.
Yeah, fantastic. So Adam's mentioned a couple of things there that you can use the tool for. I think the first thing to probably touch on is our reverse search. So one of the great things with ID for me is you can search just about on any data point that we have. So it could be a name, it could be the email, but obviously one thing that you're going to be getting at these auctions and open homes, I would assume, if you're following the disciplines, as Adam was saying, is the mobile number. So just typing that mobile into the platform, you're immediately going to get, if it's listed in ID for me, you're going to get a list of where that number's attributed to. You can then make a correlation whether or not that mobile matches the person that gave it to you. Is that mobile maybe their partner? Whatever it might be, it gives you a great starting point. The other thing you're able to do as well, if there's not a mobile number, for example, we've got James Harris that's come to an open home, and we know that James might be in the general vicinity, but you can use the tool James Harris, put in the suburb, and now you're getting quite a wide search of all the James Harrises that might be in that within that region. There are some techniques that you need to apply there. And so our team, if you do want to get a one-on-one demo, we can show you that. But that's what we would call a wide search. And if we're using the mobile number, that's our reverse search tool. Another thing that's really helpful that you might not be aware of is our tool's really functionable on a mobile. So I'd imagine if you're at an auction and you're walking around and you're grabbing someone's number, traditionally you might want to be writing that down. You can actually put that into ID for me then and there. It will give you a match. You can then save that data into your phone as a contact. So that's really helpful. We've seen agents doing this on an iPad or a tablet at open homes. Again, you can just put it in, it'll bring up the match, and you can save that into your contacts for a later date. So when you're in the platform, another really useful tool is on the left-hand side of your screen. You'll see a couple of little lines. If you click that, what comes out is a drop down. And immediately what you're shown is a map as well as a street view of the property. It's really, really good to get an assessment of what that property looks like, what kind of street the house is in, and obviously having the map there is really, really useful. It can also give you a sense of, as Adam was saying, when you're looking at profiling these people, is this house of a commensurate type or relevant to the type of house you're selling, or perhaps another house you might have for sale that person might be interested in buying. And for our Australian users, when you start looking further into this, there's extra detail available for you there. So information around the property size, information about the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, etc. There's also, in some cases, we will have listing data. So was that property recently sold? Was it recently rented? You can also click through on that and it'll take you through to the actual listing on the relevant website from that real estate agent, which can be very helpful. You can also get a sense of, is the person you're profiling a director of a company? There's a commercial search tool that you can look in there. And for some of our BDM or property managers, there is a handy tool around court records. So you can get a sense of, is the person that maybe you might be wanting to rent a property to, are they of a sufficient profile or demographic that you would be wanting to live in that home? So that's obviously a pretty handy tool there as well. All right, so Adam, I found that really insightful. I guess as we wrap up, what are the main benefits here? So I'm hearing this is a captive audience. Don't waste it. Why is this a really top thing that agents have got to be doing?
Yeah, the people who come to your open for inspections and auctions, you've got to treat them like gold. They're there for a reason. They're people who are proactively doing something. They've looked at a property online. They've seen an ad. They're coming there. They're there for a reason. We need to focus all of our energy and attention on these people and to be able to have this information before we make those calls, know where they live, know an age group, have a photo of their house, know what street it is. It's just, to me, it's just essential data. And it's almost to the point where I don't know how we did real estate without it. It's almost at that point now. So, you know, to take the tools of what we're talking about today, take it to your open for inspections, take it to your auctions, know these people, connect with these people, and, you know, be clever about it.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam. Really insightful again. So for all of you watching, make sure you stay tuned for the next episode, which will be about using data to re-engage with historic contacts that maybe you haven't spoken to for quite some time.